Nacho man, yeah. I got to be a Nacho man. Got to be a Nacho man. I got to be a Nacho man.
Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and this is not a type of video that I ever expected to make again. We're doing a tutorial on electrical stuff in Fallout 4, and we're doing it vanilla. This is because of a question from a subscriber, and if you have a type of gadget or something that you would like to try in Fallout 4 with the electrical system, I would love to hear it. I really sink my teeth into these kinds of problems, and they make interesting content, and they're just frankly fun for me. So please, if you have a question, I want to know about it in the comments. Loading up this character was kind of like visiting an old friend. It is my very first Fallout 4 character. I did not have another character that was unmodded that was high enough level to try and take this on. And so we pulled out my very first guy. He's level 148. He's done everything there is to do. And it was just kind of nice to go around and see some of my very early builds. Today's question is from Kevin Alibert. I probably butchered the pronunciation. He is French, and he is a friend of the channel from all the way back in the Evolution of a Settlement Challenge. And if Sushi Kat is watching, hello Sushi Kat. It's been a long time. Kevin has a French channel called, French class from high school was a long time ago. Le Charpentier Post-Apo, which I think roughly translated is the post-apocalyptic carpenter. And he is doing a Never Leave Sanctuary challenge on his French channel, and so if you speak French, you should go check it out. I will leave a description, or excuse me, a link to his channel in the description. And Kevin, I think you might want to check out a video that I did called Wasteland Alchemy. I showed how you could transform a couple of carrots and a lot of other resources into a big pile of Deathclaw meat and skins. So if you're looking to try and get some Deathclaw stuff for your Sanctuary challenge, might be useful to you. Kevin also made some suggestions on audio levels, and I'm trying to get better with that. Let me know what you think about those. Those kind of comments are immensely helpful to me. And so if you have a helpful suggestion, please don't hesitate to give it to me. If you have even a tiny amount of, discretion, respect, whatever, I will be glad to hear it and do my very best to act on it. Now, Kevin works with no mods, and that is why we're doing this vanilla. His question was, can we turn on a light when a raider cage or a gunner cage is closed? Since he's going to be doing that Never Leave Sanctuary challenge, he wants to use the cages to draw raiders and gunners into his sanctuary in order to loot their resources. And unfortunately, the answer is no. However, I did a lot of testing on this, and I want to share what I did so that hopefully maybe somebody else in the community has another idea, has something else that we might be able to try. There's also a kind of consolation tutorial at the end where I show how to make a death chamber where we hit one switch and the cage will open and they're going to die. So without further ado, as far as the openers here, let's take a look at these raider cages, because there are 4 possible states we have with these cages. And it doesn't matter if the light goes on or the light goes off. As long as if we were able to somehow change the status of something, I could work with that. We could use logic gates to do all kinds of things. However, as you can see here, we've got a wire that goes up to this cage. This is the power off empty state, and you can see that the light is off. The next possible state is power on empty, and you can see that this light is on. We've just got a wire going from this conduit to the cage to the light. Now, if this light turned off when the cage was full, we would have something going, but it doesn't. And the final state of cage full, power off is not actually possible, because as soon as we turn this power off, that door is going to open and a guy's going to pop out. Hello, Raider Waster. Goodbye, Raider Waster. Oh, brutal. So, yeah, sorry, Piper. I did not mean to hit you. Maybe don't stand so close. Just saying. In fact, why don't you just stay right there and just stay there for the rest of the video, okay? Thanks, Piper. So, 4 states, and none of them do anything useful. Now, this light did turn off as soon as the cage opened, and that is because the cage needs to be repaired, and with it being broken, it is not able to transmit power. Not useful. So if the cage itself is not able to do something, I thought maybe we could do something with one of the switches or sensors that we have available to us in the game. There are many, and I thought maybe one of them could be used to try and just, make something happen, anything. If I could make a light turn on or off, it doesn't matter, as long as something changes when the cage is full. And you can see that all these lights are on. Now, some of these I did have to use a logic gate because it was a normally open switch that we needed to close to turn the light on, and we've got a little logic gate to do that, but that's not important. What's important is that out of all of these, none of them worked. The first thing I tried was this target switch. Basically, the intended use is that you shoot it and it turns on or turns off. I thought maybe if the door closed on it, that would register an impact and change the state. It did not. The next thing we tried was a laser tripwire, which I thought, okay, so if the door closes, it will break the beam, and the tripwire will change state, and we can work with that. And unfortunately, this door is invisible to this tripwire. It did not change state. This tripwire, same thing, although for some reason it's not actually active right now. This one is normally closed, and when you break the beam, it opens and the light would turn off, but it doesn't work. There's 2 tripwires, one's normally open, one's normally closed. One of them is wide apart between sensor and emitter, one is narrow. Neither worked. So the door is just invisible to these laser tripwires, they go right through it. The next thing I tried was some pressure plates, and we'll hope this gunner that's in here is not too high level, because I thought, okay, if there is some pressure plates in there, okay, conscript, yeah, he's screwed. We hear enemies banging around in these cages when they're full, and so I thought, okay, if I just cover the bottom of this cage with pressure plates, surely he's going to trip at least one, maybe more, and we can, change the state of a light that way. It turns out that the enemies don't actually spawn. There is no enemy in there until you turn off the switch. And I can prove that, and I'll show you exactly what I mean when we go take a look at my execution chamber, the consolation tutorial I promised. Next to last sensor that I tried was a tripwire out of the conveyor belt tab. This thing is set up so that when something is on the conveyor belt, it comes through, it breaks the beam, changes the state. However, that also was a fail. I thought maybe this one would work because it is, I think, more sensitive than the other layers of tripwires, but same problem. The door is essentially invisible to that laser. Last thing that I tried, desperation mode, was I tried the siren. Because when enemies are nearby, settlers will run up to this thing and activate it. And I brought a settler over here. I positioned him right in front of this thing. These cages were full. They're banging around in there. Settler didn't see those as having enemies in them. And that is every type of sensor and switch that I could think of that is in the vanilla game to try. It's unfortunate, and I am sorry, Kevin. I did spend several hours actually trying to find any possible way to make this work because I thought it was a neat idea, but I just can't seem to make it happen. So, what are we going to do instead? I felt like building something cool and thought maybe we could at least set up a kind of execution chamber, and so that's what we've got going here. The cage is currently full, and what I wanted to be able to do was, with one switch, shut this door and raise these shutters and give the gunner just enough time to kind of walk out of here and say, "What's up?" and then have these turrets and traps light him up. The buzzsaw traps and the spring blade trap don't do that much damage, but they kind of hold them in place while these laser turrets do their thing. Now, I had to use laser turrets because I'm high enough level that there are times when I will get like brigadiers and colonels out of this cage. So let's just kind of see exactly how this works. I've got everything set up on timers and delays to make it work just the way I want. I've also got a spotlight turret in here that will illuminate this guy. And see, there we go. There's a corporal, and he is now dead. And in case you missed it, because it does kind of happen fast, see, now the settler detected that enemy, but
you showed up just in the nick of time.
He did not. Yeah. I am very low on space for save games. I have to be extremely careful. Anyway, so he detected this guy when he popped out of the cage as an enemy. And so still not useful as far as Kevin's answer. Anyways, everything kind of happens pretty quick. So we hit the switch, the shades go up, but the turrets and everything are on a time delay so that they don't go off immediately. It gives the raider, or excuse me, the gunner, a chance to step out of the cage. And yeah, no fuss, no muss. One dead gunner, and all it is going to cost us once we have the thing set up is 1 steel, 50 bottle caps, and 1 copper. And we hit, just repair that. The whole thing is ready again, and once we come back here and find the cage is full, we can hit the switch and get another kill. I will tell you that it may look complicated when we get to the wiring, but it's not nearly so bad as it looks. It actually took me far more hours to try and set up this little box with the shutters the way that I wanted, and I never quite got it the way that I exactly wanted. But it took me much longer to do that because I have forgotten everything I used to know about build order. So don't get intimidated when we get into how to wire this up. For that, I am actually going to reload an earlier save, and we're also going to prove our point about the random nature and the fact that they are spawning the moment that the switch is hit. Give me just a second. So I just dropped a quick save right here in front of this death chamber, and this time a sergeant comes out. And we're going to load that. And we're going to push the switch again. Yeah, you're welcome. And this time, a colonel comes out. This is really high level guy. He's got a stealth boy. And it's going to take a little bit longer for the turrets to finish him off. Assuming that we even can. And yeah, he's actually managed to take out one of the turrets and is shooting me through the window. Come on. Get this guy down. Actually, let's go for headshots. There we go. Finally dead. Right? Let's load the quick save again.
Thanks for your help fighting them off.
And you're welcome.
I hate Raider.
I hate Raiders.
Anyway.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So we hit the switch again. And this time we have a major. The enemy does not spawn inside that box until after the switch is turned off. And that is why both the pressure plate method and the siren method did not work. Every time that the siren's been activated around here, it's because the settlers are alarmed about this guy that's in the execution box. I should have removed the siren before we did this little experiment. But I think I've kind of proven my point. And that, I think, is the ultimate reason why this is such a difficult thing to accomplish, because the cage itself doesn't change and the enemy doesn't spawn. But I promised a consolation tutorial on how to build this, and for that, I think that we want it to be daytime. Let me just come over here and sleep on this dirty mattress at Electrical Island until we can get some daylight. And now it's daytime, and man, even Electrical Island is just so different from what I remember because of. Oh, did I not turn that back? Switch back on. All right, so yeah, we can close that up. Even Electrical Island is very different from what I remember. This platform is much smaller. A lot of the tutorials and demonstrators and stuff that I had set up are gone because I did them after mods, and so after this character diverged from the modded character. So yeah. To make our execution box, I have elected to just kind of spread everything out horizontally because wire glitching and trying to pack things together are kind of old hat for everybody. What some people still struggle with is the function of logic gates, and that's why I want to spread everything out, just to make it really easy to see what we're doing. Now, whenever I put together a gadget like this, I always like to have a single conduit that I can bring power in, and everything for this gadget comes from that single conduit. That way I have a better chance of being able to understand what's going on if something is happening that I didn't intend. Multiple places for power to come in means multiple chances for me to make a mistake. The first thing that we had was a power door. So we're going to take some power from this conduit and put it on this switch. And then we're going to hook it to that power door. Right? And we turn the switch off and the door will close. We turn the switch on, the door opens. And that is exactly how that worked for this door over here. And the next thing we had was that cage. And because I want to be able to observe results instantly, I have elected to replace the cage with this marquee sign. I at least wrote cage on it so that we can be mindful of what it represents. And the cage is also very simple. We hook power to it, and it baits enemies in, and when we turn the power off, it lets the enemies out. The rest of this starts to get a little complicated, but it's not that bad. So we've got these shutters, and if I just hook this straight to the switch, those shutters are going to open, and that's not how we want it to work at all, right? We wanted to turn this switch off and have the shutters open. And to make that happen, we are going to turn to our good friend, the not and logic gate. Not and works by saying if we have two inputs on, it does not transmit power. If one of those inputs should turn off, or both inputs should turn off, it will stop transmitting power. It only transmits power when exactly one input is high. Now, we need to hook this up to some things. First thing is going to probably be this, but am I going to be able to hook directly to it? It may need a wire glitch. Yep, we are going to need to wire glitch that. So let's just go get ourselves a connector and go there, and we're going to wire glitch over here. And now we don't need that wire or that connector anymore. And now, when we turn that switch off, the shutter opens. We have essentially inverted this switch. So when we turn it off, other things can turn on. And that is true for all of our traps and turrets. So we can hook everything that we want to turn on when the switch goes off to the output of this logic gate. But you remember that I said that there was a time delay on this because I wanted the gunner, to have time to come out of his cage. I also wanted to allow time for the shutter to open. Well, how do we do that? That's really easy. I've got a delayed on switch here, and I've already programmed this to a 3-second delay. As a side note, if you're doing complicated wiring on settlements with lots of simple gadgets and systems and complicated gadgets and systems, it is very handy to have just a generator and a terminal set aside for programming these logic elements. That way you don't accidentally change something that you did not intend to change. So we're going to hook this delayed on switch to the output of our logic gate, so that when the logic gate changes state, the shutter will come up immediately, but there will be a 3-second delay before this transmits any power. And that means that all we have to do is then hook all of our traps to this guy. Now you don't want to hook your traps and turrets and everything together. Like, you don't want to hook everything off this turret, because if your victim kills this turret, it means that everything that's hooked to it is also going to stop working. That's why we hook everything to this, because they don't tend to shoot at these switches, because the switches are not shooting at them. The spring trap is also a little special because it was going up and down and up and down. So if I just hook this straight to power, it just goes up. If we want it to cycle, we need to use an interval switch. So this just turns on and turns off, and turns on and turns off. And there we go. We've got this entire thing wired, and it looks a mess because it is all spread out, but I hope that that was something that you can follow, and we can watch this in action a couple of times here. So we'll turn the switch off, and the cage opens, the door closes, and the shutter all go up immediately. And you can see this interval switch turning on and off, so that the spring trap will cycle. And let's just turn everything off again. Let the shutter have time to come down. And this time, let's watch the action of the delay on switch. So hit this, and there's a long delay. And now the turret and the saw blade traps activate. And it's all thanks to this. Again, if you've got a switch that you want to have something happen when you turn it off, the answer is the not and gate. You hook one side to steady power, you hook the other side to your switch, and the output that you want to turn on when the switch goes off, and Bob's your uncle. So, this was a long video for a very short answer of no. not possible. But I hope that maybe somebody in the community will think of something that I missed. And if you do, I would love to see a video about it, or have you submit a comment with a suggestion for something that I might try. In the meantime, Kevin, like I said, check out Wasteland Alchemy if you want to try and get some death claws in your Never Leave Sanctuary challenge. And if you do build a execution chamber like this, well, probably not. This is ridiculously resource intensive for a challenge like that, but I at least hope that you found it entertaining along with everybody else, and I also hope that maybe somebody might have got some ideas, something else that they might want to try, something that is this or some variation thereof. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe and get the notification bell. If you didn't like, please tell me why in the comments, because constructive criticism is the best way that I know how to grow as a content creator. Until next time, I'm saying that my name is Nacho Bidness, and it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.